So this is not a review of the way I've done previously. Aspyr has remastered Star Wars Jedi Power Battles, and I'm just going to go over what is different in the remaster versus the original that came out in 2001. If you want to see my review and me discussing the Dreamcast versus the PlayStation 1 port, I have a video on my channel for that, and I will leave a link in my description. And that video also covers the characters, their powers, etc. But right now we're just going to discuss what's new in this remaster. Right off the bat, this remaster is using the Dreamcast version as its base. For people who only played the PlayStation 1 version, that means there will be quite a few changes, and like I said, I discussed them in my previous video, but for the most part, the Dreamcast version is better. They have fixed a whole bunch of things in the Dreamcast version, so the remaster is pulling from that, and that was a smart choice. For those who have played the Dreamcast version, the changes will be a lot less, but there are still some. Now, it does have content that was exclusive to both. Really, the main thing that is missing from the PS1 is just destructible environments. But other than that, it's basically the same. Everything, including the bonus mission, is there. And while it has the layout of the Dreamcast and the look, it honestly looks better. You get the game in 16:9 rather than 4:3, as well as the textures being obviously more high-res than the original. The game has changed the lightsaber colors of some of the characters to the way they are canonically. In the original one, they were the same color as the toys, or they just were a different color because Attack of the Clones had not come out yet and had not canonically given Plo Koon or Mace Windu their lightsaber colors. So it has fixed the lightsaber colors to be canonically, but also it gives you the option to switch it back to how the original game had it, and I love that. I love that they did that. All characters are here, including the Dreamcast exclusive ones, and all the base characters are unlocked from the beginning, which is normal, but the unlockables from the PS1 and the Dreamcast version, they're already unlocked upon you starting, which was like Darth Maul, Mundi, Padme, etc. They're already unlocked. But now there is a new game plus, where if you beat the game, you get a new game plus, and now you have all these other characters that you can play as. Now, most of them are just the enemies that you have fought in the game already, but now you can play them in the story mode, as they have made tweaks to them so they could actually go through the story mode. Like, as silly as it looks, now the destroyer droid can jump so he can platform. It's silly, but it's a lot of fun. And you also get a newcomer that wasn't an enemy, Jar Jar Binks. He's got a staff and he can also reflect the lasers too. Now, none of these characters have force powers, only your Jedis will have those unlockable force powers and stuff like that, but it's still fun. A lot of these characters were already in the Dreamcast version in the versus mode for you to play as, but being able to play as them in the story mode adds a lot to the game as well. They also even fixed the battle droid character, who previously could not beat the game without a partner, as he couldn't beat the level 1 boss. But now he can, making all characters able to beat the game the way it should be. I even tested a bunch of the characters to see could they do this, and yeah, they can. Most of the fixes were honestly fixed in the Dreamcast port, but Aspyr did add a couple of their own. I noticed you don't glitch out when attacking this giant bug. Before, you could get your body stuck on him and it would repeatedly hurt you. I don't see that happening anymore, and I've fought him many times in this remaster just to test it out, and it never happened. I also noticed they fixed the control layout to be more modern, which is great. When you unlock force powers, it actually tells you how to use them this time, which is also great. The training area from the Dreamcast is also here, but it should still be called the challenge area in my opinion, because it's not only harder than anything else in the game, but by calling it the training area, it could fool a new player to thinking it's a tutorial, which it definitely is not a tutorial. If this video does well enough and you want me to make a video teaching you guys about the game, how to play the game, different secrets, unlockables, whatever, I would be glad to do that. Just let me know in the comments if that's what you need. Some small AI fixes were made to the enemies, and some were even made to Anakin and the Queen. For example, the Queen actually follows you now and sticks with you, whereas previously she just took off and ran ahead. And while these changes are great, there are still existing bugs from the previous game that I feel like Aspyr should have taken care of that they didn't. Or maybe they just didn't know about them. I don't know. But I tried a handful of the ones that I knew off the top of my head, and I'd say maybe half of them they fixed, but the others were still there. Like, you can still get stuck on this platform and die on level 1. This was a thing I remember happening all the time. You can also get the camera stuck, making you unable to progress in level 10. This happens sometimes while you're fighting Darth Maul, and I wish they would have fixed those issues. There's also quite a few audio bugs that never were previously there. I noticed the voice was quieter than it used to be, so I turned down the music to try to balance it, but I realized it's just quiet. I can't do anything. On top of that, if it isn't quiet, sometimes there's just obvious missing sounds, which is quite strange.
Royal Highness, I am here to escort you to safety.
We must reach my starship in the hangar if we hope to escape. Follow me.
On top of that, it uses the really lame point system the original one used, where you have to score a certain amount of points each level to level up a character. It not only doesn't tell you how many points you need, but also some of the levels require you either grinding or killing yourself to use checkpoints to make items and enemies reappear so you can backtrack for those points, and that's never fun. I kind of wish they just made their own point system and made it far more balanced and enjoyable and just did just did away with it. Keep in mind, when you look up how many points you need, look up the Dreamcast version's points and not the PlayStation 1 version's points, because they are different amounts. To me, the biggest and best change is I can switch from single player to multiplayer with no problem. I can keep the same progress. It was not like that in the original. If I'm level 10 in this remaster with Qui-Gon and I choose to play with a friend, I can still use my level 10 Qui-Gon, or let my friend use it and I can choose another character that I leveled up. And if we level them up together in multiplayer, I can still use them in single player. It's so much better. You could not do that in the original. There's also quite a few cheats that are in this game. I'm not big into cheats, but I know lots of people love them, and I guarantee some of them will be fun. And there are some people who bitch about, well, because it's a beat 'em up, the lightsabers don't like insta-kill the enemies. When you beat the game, you unlock ultimate lightsaber mode, and you can just turn that on and that will insta-kill the enemies, except for bosses. So hopefully that will help people stop complaining about that. This is by far the most definitive way to play this game. Not only does it have the Dreamcast content, but it brought the bonus levels from the PlayStation 1 and gave us the best visuals yet, while tweaking controls to make it more fun. I really like that they put the jump button at A instead of B. That's so much better. Thank you. If you love Jedi Power Battles or just want to give it a try, this really is the best version you can get. And it being on modern hardware means it's much more accessible to everyone. If you aren't sure about this game, it is basically just a beat 'em up platformer. If that isn't for you, that is completely okay. The game will feel kind of outdated. It is a remaster, not like a remake or anything like that. It is going to play basically the way the old game played, but with some tweaks that honestly make this the best version you could play. So if you didn't like the original, you're probably not gonna like this one. I did like the original, and I think this is the best way to play it. I'm glad this was remastered. I never thought that would have happened, honestly.